welcome to ReneMarie Stroke of Luck. I'm ReneMarie, and this is Judy Marlowe, the co-host. How are you, Judy?
Hi, glad to be here.
Yes, as always, and
Yes.
Thank you so much for all you do on this show. Judy whips things together, and she's so intense and so great at what she does. So thank you so much. Thank you. Today we have an awesome show. We always have an awesome show, thanks to Judy. And you know, we were talking about building that circle around you, building the tree, the branches of your tree of life, and how you really shouldn't wait until something happens. You have to build that circle around you so that when something does happen, you're prepared. And of course, you know, things come out of the blue and you aren't prepared for it. But, you know, that's our job, our mission is to make you aware that you really need to do this and you really need to start investigating, and don't wait. Like, just start. And, you know, reach out to people that you know to ask them what they've done in their lives. You know, that's resources, and networking is the best way to find out recommendations, you know. And, you know, you like we say, you need a doctor, you need an accountant, you need faith. You need, you know, an attorney. You need a neurologist. You need to have people on your team that will support you. And you need consultants. You need people that are your friends that you could just troubleshoot with. So, you know, there's a whole network of people and that you need to build in your circle. And yes, of course, I'm 56 and I built that circle around me through the years, but we're asking you not to wait until you get to be 56, because things happen at young ages.
It happened at any time, any moment.
Yes, I was 26 when I had my major stroke, and I was blessed to have love and support around me. But some people are not so blessed to have family around them that take up the you know, the cause. So this is going to be a really good show. We have Jim and Lisa Leonick. Sorry, I screwed it up anyway. Leonick on the show, and he is an attorney. And you're both attorneys? You're both attorneys.
Husband and wife.
Yes. Wow, that's awesome. Husband and wife attorneys. And they're going to be discussing estate planning, advanced directives, health proxies, and we're going to really indulge into the conversation of, you know, what it means and how to do it, and the importance of it. And it's funny because we were sitting in the green room, not in the green room, in the studio, you know, as we chat before the show so we can kind of get to know each other. And we just found out that Lisa's mom suffered a stroke. And that is just such an important piece of the show, only because we tell you all the time, everybody you know has somebody that's suffered a stroke or has experienced a stroke, or a friend has a stroke, and because it's not what's the word I'm looking for? It's not prejudiced. It touches so many lives. So it doesn't matter what color you are, what faith you are, what financial status you have. Strokes affect everybody when it wants to. And I want to reiterate that 80% of strokes can be prevented if you go to the doctors, you get your baseline, you visit the doctor all the time, and you
know the signs.
And you know the signs. What are you know the signs, Judy?
Yeah, I better know the signs.
Because I don't have it. I always pass things by Judy, like say, okay, Judy, say this, and she's like, I don't have it in front of me. You surprised me.
Your face. If your face is distorted, if your tongue, if you stick out your tongue and it's not straight, if you're speaking and your speech is not clear, it's mumbled, if you cannot put your arms straight out, I can't put them straight out because you're in the way, but if your arm is drooping, and of course time is of the essence. If you do not get help immediately, your brain cells will die, and the recovery will be a lot different. If you have a stroke and you get to the hospital in time and they do the tests, you will be able to get a clot buster. But if you are having a bleed, which they'll determine when they're doing the tests, then they have to do something else. So time is of the essence.
And
I also want to add that a killer headache should not be ignored. My dad had a killer headache and let it go, and it was a stroke, a massive stroke about to happen, and swollen gland, and swollen ankles. Rather.
I don't know if you mentioned this because I was thinking about something else, but if you do think that someone's having a stroke and you're calling 911, it is imperative to let that 911 operator know that it could be a stroke, because that puts them in a different mode. They go into stroke mode and they'll kind of have an advanced insight into what they're looking for when they come. They'll go through their procedures, but if they do determine it's a stroke, they kind of will go into stroke mode and call the hospital on the way to the hospital and pass triage on the way in. So, and go for a CAT scan.
And the thing to remember is FACE. F for face, A for arms, S for speech, and T for time. I mean fast. F for face, A for arms, S for speech, and T for time.
Yeah, and time is of the essence. So before we get to invite Jim and Lisa onto the show, I got a wonderful Facebook message yesterday from an old friend, Alicia, and she used to do the, what's it called, Jim? The Body Shop on Madhouse TV when we were on that, and her show was, our show initially was 1 to 2, and hers was 2 to 4, I think.
I don't recall.
And you know, when you're passing through all the time, we always enjoyed each other's company. We were on their show, they were on our show, and all that kind of stuff. And she actually called me to invite me to be on her show.
Great.
This coming, and there she is. There's Alicia. She's beautiful. She's beautiful inside and out. And can you put the? She's actually running 2 drives. One is a toy drive, which is so important during this period of the season, because there's so many children out there that need gifts, and Christmas and Hanukkah and all those holidays are really important for the kids, you know, so that we can keep their spirits up. And then she did you show that photo, Jim? And then she's doing a Christmas dinner. I think it's a Christmas party. It's a Christmas party. So there's the holiday toy drive. It was before, and then the Christmas dinner. So we're really happy, and I can't wait to see her, and I can't wait to just reconnect with somebody that was really on the beginning of our journey. I mean, it was, how many years ago? 6 years ago. Where does time go? It's so crazy. So anyway, so thank you so much to Alicia. And just so you guys know, so you can start putting your little thinking caps on, because it's the Thanksgiving season, we ask everybody what they're grateful for. So, at the end of the show, I'll be asking you what you're grateful for, so that you could share. And I want to show Bruce, my one of my wonderful biggest fan.
Oh, yes. He is.
He prays all the time for me, so I feel his prayers all the time. But he said he was thankful last week on the show.
That's nice.
On Facebook. So let's open up the cameras, Jim. Are they on? Great. I can't see them because it's on my video. It's delayed. So welcome. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
We're very happy to have you, and know that it's really important. Give us a little history on yourselves, though, Lisa, first.
Sure. I'm originally from Glen Cove, moved out to Huntington, went to law school in Huntington, which is where I met Jim. And then we've, built a wonderful life together. 3 children.
Wow.
We live in East Northport, and Jim and I have always been actively involved in our community. Him more so than myself. He's always put himself out there and given a lot to our community. So now we have a practice together, and I also work in the title insurance business. So, and we both have our extended families relatively around us. Some are a little bit away,
right.
but we're a good unit.
And you're also Rotarians, both.
Yes, Rotarians, yes.
What did you just say you do?
I work. I'm counsel to a title insurance company.
Okay, so what is a title insurance company?
So a title.
Just because some people may not know, and.
So a title insurance company, what we do is we insure the title to a piece of property, commercial, residential, that you might be purchasing, and it could be a condo, a co-op, a regular, residential piece of land, or commercial property. So we make sure in our searches that we do, we conduct searches in the county and state, we make sure that property is clean. Or we produce the product to show you, here's the issues. And now we have to work at clearing if there are issues.
Right.
So, and then we ensure the buyer that when they are purchasing this now, you have insurance, just like any insurance policy, clean and clear. You don't have to worry about any title issues, that might have occurred in our searches that we did. And so we produce a nice, report and a policy, and then everyone's happy when they get into their home sweet home, and they can feel comfortable.
Yeah. I remember when I purchased my house all the time, whenever I purchased a house, that there was always a document I had to sign off that it wasn't me. Was that something that came?
Yes,
because Renee Testa, that wasn't me. Renee
exactly.
Testa, Renee with
Because
ReneMarie, it's not
similar names. So you have to say, okay, that judgment's not me. It's similar name, but it's not me.
Right. Those parking tickets. Or
yes, exactly.
You
have to, we have to make sure those are all clean.
Right.
And if they are you, they have to get taken care of, because you can't really sell a home with liens on it.
Right.
You don't really want to purchase that. So
right, because the liens become your.
It's against you. It's against your property. Exactly. So you have to make sure it's clean and clear.
And that's why you have insurance. So the initial work is the search work before you close and purchase. But then later on, if there was an issue, and they're rare, but if there was an issue that came up that affects title, well, then your title insurance company stands behind you and defends your right to the property.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
So it's an important piece.
It is an
People
important
don't
piece.
realize it, and they kind of get annoyed that they have to pay the premium for it, but it's so important because there's so much that can happen in the history of a property. Not just liens, but other things, old mortgages, things that come up that you need clean and clear. Estate issues from years ago that might not have been resolved, we find a way to resolve them. This way it's done.
Right.
So,
Wow.
important.
It's important stuff.
Yeah.
It's important stuff.
100%.
Jim, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I've been practicing now, come January, it'll be 31 years.
Wow.
Lisa and I met in law school, and from the beginning I started working defending personal injury cases, working for several insurance companies. I became a trial attorney. I worked in all the courts from Westchester through the city, the island. And while I was doing that, I also was working on my private practice at the same time. And I started out doing estate planning and real estate matters for friends and family. And then that grew into leaving the insurance defense business and entering private practice a little over 20 years ago. And since then I've done estate planning for people, elder law planning, real estate matters, residential, commercial, and Lisa and I, practice together now, and represent clients from all over. We have clients that are in New York City, on the island, and they run the gamut from young to old, from moderate income to wealthy. Runs the gamut.
Right, and that's what we say to people, like, estate planning, you would think you'd need to be an elderly person when you do that, but that's the wrong perception. You really should start. When should you start estate planning?
So my view is some of the documents, advanced directives like a power of attorney and a healthcare proxy, are things that you should have once you're 18 years old. When kids go away to college, and I've worked with a number of young people from our Boy Scout troop, where they're going away to college, and before they leave, I meet with them, and
all of our friends as well.
So.
He's called all of our friends and said, "Get your children in here."
Yeah,
and he's done it
never
out of the goodness of his heart.
Right,
for our Eagle Scouts in our
30s.
troop, I tell them, "Come on in. It's
Come on
on
in.
the house."
It's on the house. He does it to our friends, their
So
children.
important.
It's important
Our
because
Eagle Scouts and
I had a situation years ago where I had a family come to me. A mother came in unannounced, knocked on the door of the office, and came in. And my receptionist said, "There's a mom here. She wants to talk to you about doing a power of attorney for her son." And I said, "Well, where did she come from? Why is she here? She just walked in off the street.
Right.
So apparently she was referred through the Bar Association, so I sat down and met with her. And after a few minutes of questioning, I found out that her son was ill. He had an unusual health condition, and it caused him to be wheelchair bound.
Oh my gosh.
And at that point, he really was not competent to sign any legal documents. And sort of illustrated the situation that where you need to do these things early on. He was in his early 20s, and there was a lawsuit that needed to be brought. There were many things that had to go on. But before we could do anything, because he didn't have a power of attorney and someone who could sign legal documents for him, we had to bring a guardianship proceeding. That's something that Lisa helped me with, because Lisa has some background in guardianship work. So I went to court, and we proved to the court that he needed to have a guardian appointed. We got his mom appointed. So it's sort of an ironic thing to have a parent appointed as guardian for a child who's over 18 years old.
Right, but you don't have the rights for them anymore when they're 18.
Exactly, and something that people don't think about, which is why I impress upon parents when their children are going away to school, because things happen at school.
Life begins.
Car accidents, unfortunately drug overdoses, mental breakdowns, and this is a crucial point in children's lives where things can go wrong.
They should educate people early about that.
Yes.
Even in high school.
Right.
I agree.
Absolutely.
A good class in high school on those kinds of things, life things.
Life things.
Yes.
That can, catch you so, off guard. I think it's a great idea.
And to get back to your point, it's a great time to talk to young people about the branches in your tree of life.
Right.
100%.
And this is part of it. The people around you, the foundations that you need to move ahead in life.
I think when you put it in like the tree, like something that's visible to people, and something that the kids could understand, they know a tree, and they know the tree has branches, and you need to put individuals on those branches, or you can label those branches, and then as you get the individuals, you put them on. But it's so important for them to know that this has to be done. And I was looking when I was doing my work for the show, what does a tree of life mean? Well, the tree of life is representative of our lives, because it starts out young, and it grows, and the branches spurt, but it evolves and it goes up. And that really is the general thought behind the tree of life. And like you said, it's so important. Did you ever think about going to schools to educate kids on the
I haven't, but it's a good thought.
It's a good thought.
It's a very good thought. And what
it.
people have to realize, if they don't have a healthcare proxy, that it won't be their family members. It won't be their mother, their father, their husband, their wife, whatever, their sister or the brother that makes the decision. It's going to be a doctor, an administrator, or a judge. And they could end up a vegetable in a nursing home, and nothing could be done about it, because these people will say their life continues. And you wouldn't want your life to continue like that, so it's urgent that everybody have a healthcare proxy.
Very, very true.
Yeah.
Yes.
So tell us what's in the healthcare proxies, what's in the advanced directives, either one. I don't.
Yeah, the healthcare proxy appoints someone, obviously, that you trust completely to make all of your healthcare decisions for you, should you not be able to. And it also can include, directives on artificial hydration and nutrition. And then it's a kind of a simple form, but it's one that the hospitals have to adhere to. So you don't want to wait to that situation where you're in an emergency situation, and the hospitals have the forms there. You can fill them out, but if you're not capable at that moment, you better make sure you have it ahead of time. And so that form allows the appointment.
And you may not be in the condition to make the decisions you would have made if you had.
Oh my goodness! In the time of stress,
notice.
you're not thinking.
Right.
What I did, that I'm going through a transition. I wrote it down, and I had my kids sign. I signed it, and I had it notarized.
Great.
So that is at least a step before I get the healthcare proxy, since it was changed. Am I correct in my?
The healthcare proxy now has you have to have two witnesses on it.
Well, I just have a notarized document stating that these are my wishes.
Okay.
If I do go into the hospital, until I go to my attorney and have it transitioned into. But that should be, because when it's notarized, it's official. Am I correct?
The state statute says it has to be witnessed by two people.
Two people.
to
Well,
people.
I have to
You
say,
may
But
need
it's
to
when it comes-
evidence. That's
mean-
evidence of what your wishes.
right.
But it doesn't conform to the state
So
regulation.
So, situations like this, most times doctors and hospitals, they see that you have appointed family members and you have something, and they probably wouldn't, cause a problem over that.
Right,
the only
right,
time
right.
it becomes an issue is if there's a dispute among family
Okay.
members. And we
Okay.
had that occur once where two sides of family almost went to court. That somebody's, in a hospital bed now, and there were some members of the family that felt there shouldn't be any further treatment for this person because they were elderly and suffered an
That's
accident.
why it's important to really get
Write out exactly what it is that you desire.
Yes,
And there's a lot of
Right.
aspects to
and
it.
that's where a living will comes in. So, there's a difference. The healthcare proxy can be for any time during your lifetime. You are appointing someone to make decisions for you if you can't convey what your wishes are. So as long as you can convey what your wishes are, by speaking them, by writing them down on a chalkboard, by nodding your head, then you make your own decisions. But the moment you can't, you need the healthcare proxy to appoint a person to do that for you.
And the living will.
Living will, the difference is, and the healthcare proxy is a binding legal document in New York State. The living will is not. It's evidence of what your wishes are for end-of-life decisions, and that's really the distinction. Healthcare proxies for any time, health-related issues, you need someone else to step up for you. The living will, the difference is it's for end-of-life decisions. So you've heard people say, well, I don't want to be kept alive on machines. That's a type of situation we're talking about, when someone could be in a vegetative state and they're kept alive because they're on machines keeping them alive and they're being artificially hydrated and so on. So if you don't want that under certain circumstances, that document spells that out. So it's
a hard
evident-
conversation.
It is, but that is something that I feel when we meet with clients, there are very strong opinions about this.
Yes.
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 Like husband and wife or
Right,
partners,
right.
very strong opinions, and they joke and say, "Oh, if I get a sniffle, that one's going to pull the plug on me." But they really do have very strong.
I want you to know that when my dad had a massive stroke, and he needed a feeding tube, otherwise he wasn't going to survive. And my brother was totally against it and said, no, he would not want to live like that. And I said, I'm doing it because he still can talk, he still has functions, and I want to keep him going. And 3 years and 3 months later, he did pass, but prior to his passing, he thanked me. He even said to me, you would make such a great Rotarian, you should think about it.
Are you kidding?
And that's why you joined
Oh,
Yes.
Oh.
Well, I didn't have time. I was working in the city, and
it? Right. And you were taking care of your father.
Yes.
Wow.
that's really a beautiful
Because
story.
I thought maybe I was being selfish. And my brother got the whole family together to be against me, and this should end now. And I said, I'm not doing that.
It really is a hard conversation to have. It really
Very
is.
much
It
so.
really
which
is.
is why we tell people, and this is, these documents are called advanced directives because we want you to do them in advance.
Right.
Because when it's in the heat of the moment, there's enough stress as it is with what's happening medically. You don't need to add on family issues and disputes over what to do and what not
Right.
to do.
We've seen it firsthand.
Yeah, and that's why not to bring this up, but that's why, we go to bat with insurances because the first priority should be somebody's recovery, not what the insurance provides for them, not that you have 6 weeks and it's just like I can't. I like my mind keeps going to that because I think to myself,
That's a whole nother show.
Yeah. Oh, we
That's
talk
our
about it all the
mission.
time.
We talk about it all
but
the
it's
time.
like the same thing. Like how it blows
This
me
is
away.
where
Shouldn't
the
be the
branches on
deciding
your tree
factor.
come in because
Yeah.
at crucial times like that, it helps to have people other than yourself to call or rely on to say, this is what's going on. Are there things I should be aware of, thinking about that are not on my radar right now
Right.
because I'm focused here
Right.
and I need to know that insurance kicks in and this happens
Right.
and
Yes,
that happens.
yes. Well, that's why we have. I have mine, and she's been on our show. Tracy Lawrence. This is in New Jersey. She is my, my consultant, my financial advisor, and I bought my health insurances through her, and not my personal health insurance, but my life insurance,
Right.
all through her. And if when something does happen, my kids are to call her, and she
Perfect.
will guide them and help them to control what's going on. So it's so important to build that. We should actually build that tree and put on it what is needed. You got to help us with that.
Sure, we'll do that.
Okay, then we'll send it to you.
Yeah,
So that
I
we
like
could
that.
together. You could bring it to the schools and you could show them.
I think
True.
that's a great idea.
It really is a good idea.
It's something missing from education
Yeah.
that everybody should know.
Sure.
For sure.
And it's something that, when we meet with families, parents oftentimes they want to put children in positions of responsibility in some of these documents, like their will or their power of attorney and so on. But they're concerned that their children are too young or not sophisticated enough to be able to handle that responsibility. And we explain to them that they don't need to take on all the responsibility. They have the legal authority by their signature to do certain things, but they can reach out for advice to
Of course.
their attorney, to their accountant, to a real estate broker, whatever they need, in the doctor, in whatever the given situation is. They need to
Right.
on these other people that are in the
Yes.
this sphere.
Their network.
But it's and the one that's going through my brain now is it is important to share that tree of life with your children so that they know
Absolutely.
who
We
all
just
these
did
branches
that.
who all these branches are.
We just
right?
told our
Tell-
children about
You
that.
have 2 boys?
We have 3 boys.
3 boys.
Yes, and we sat them down and said, okay, because we recently went away, and just the 2 of us. So
How old are your
There's
kids?
nobody.
How old are your kids?
23, 20, and 15 going on 30.
I remember meeting, I think it was 2 of them years ago when we had a meeting, a Rotary meeting
Okay.
West
in
Virginia,
Huntington.
Right.
That
It
was-
was
yeah.
right. It
I
was
remember
probably the older
2.
two.
Yes.
So we told them, listen, if God forbid something happened to us, that here's what you need to do. Here's who you call. Here's where your important documents are. These are the people we trust that you should reach out to.
Right.
Besides your family, there's other,
right.
things that you need to kind of get yourself glued in on.
Yeah.
So it's important to sit them down and take care of all that.
Yeah, it's tough because kids don't want to hear it.
I know.
Kids,
No.
they're like, oh my God, just the thought of
thought of it.
It's
somebody.
funny that you said
Don't
it because
say
that's what
that.
the reaction was about 5 minutes into explaining a number of different things, where we have documents, who they might call, where they're going to find those contact numbers. They said, all right, nothing's going to happen. You
Yeah.
can stop with all
Yeah, you can
this.
stop. Except my youngest will say, how much am I getting?
And that's funny.
How do I get my share?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
But it is. It's a tough conversation to have, and But the truth is that it's things are going to happen to people. It's out of our
All
hands.
ages.
It's out of our hands what is going to happen in our futures.
Sure.
We just want to prepare to ease the pressures of our family
Yes.
when these things do happen.
Because there are unintended consequences that come about if you don't have these discussions. And part of sitting down and discussing these things is it leads to these discussions with the family about how you would want things taken care of, who you would want to take care of things, and it sort of develops. It's not something that people know the first time we sit down and speak with them. Many times we have a discussion with people and explain all the different things that they should have: a will, a power of attorney, a healthcare proxy, a living will. And we explain what these things are, what they do, who the people are that you appoint in those things, and what their responsibilities would be. And then that rolls over into them going home and having a discussion with their siblings, their parents, their
Yes.
children about what they would want, and finding out that, oh, mom and dad don't have a will, and they're in their 80s, and what's going to happen, and it
My
starts
parents never
discussions.
discussed that with us.
Right.
And all of those decisions really bring about a lot of psychological, sociological, a lot of things come into play there. Those conversations are huge. And then it brings it back to us, and we do, we sit with everybody, and we need the whole story, and they want to tell you. So it's a nice relationship. It's not just lawyer, it's
no.
also, you're kind of like a confidant a relationship.
Of course.
In you know, in terms of all those other family matters that they tell us.
Yeah, that's why it's important to do research on the person that's going to be your branch on the tree.
Yes.
Because you have to have a connection with them. They have to understand you.
For sure.
And each person is so different that each person needs somebody different. You know, like you're an attorney, but you're not the right attorney for everybody in the world.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
there's people who are meant to come to you and you'll have relationships with them, and then there's people that it just doesn't jive with them.
100%.
And then, you know, it's okay, thank you so much, you know, I hope you do well, and, you know,
Absolutely.
please let us know if you need anything, you know.
Sure.
So,
For sure.
talk about the probate after someone passes, and what is probate and the process.
So if there's two arms to this. So if you die, you pass away, and you don't have a will, it's called intestacy. So that's where the state statutes will tell you where your assets are going to go. Okay,
Wow.
so that's tough because they might not be going to where you'd like them to
course.
go. So that's why we tell everyone.
Or the person thinks that they deserve it,
right,
and they're not getting what they, you know, like.
that could be a mess.
Well, sometimes it's as simple as, you know, we tell parents, you know, new parents, they have young children, that if they don't have a will, one of the things they need to be aware of is the state statute. Many people think that if you die and you don't have a will, everything goes to the state. Well, that could happen in the most extreme situation. But that's only if you don't have family members that fall into this family tree
Right.
the state has built into a statute that says, if you die, you don't have a will, this is where it goes. So if you're married and you have children, the spouse gets the first $50,000 and half of your estate. The other half goes to your children, which is nice, except that if you have a young family, you really want to leave everything to your spouse to use those resources for the whole family,
Right.
and not have it in
Split up.
trust for the children. So, you know, things like that come up.
Right. And then who would be the trustee, and who's, you know, and then if someone's predeceased, who's going to be the guardian? You need to have control of those things, which is why you come to us and we sit down and we say, okay, here's your will, state your wishes. Where do you want everything to go? Who do you want to be in charge? Very important, you want an executor in a fiduciary, that's a fiduciary capacity. You need someone who you can trust. On all of these documents, got to be people that you can trust. Then you have alternates. You also have, you can appoint your guardians and alternates, trustees and alternates. Very important.
Oh yeah, they never thought about the N alternates.
Always
Right.
Because
we
that
always have
way-
an alternate.
Yeah, I don't think I have an alternate on my.
It's a good thing
So
to have.
one of
Well-
the things you mentioned before, Renee, was to think about, investigate, think about the background and the persona of the people that you're putting in these positions.
Yeah.
And I tell people, the person that you choose to be a guardian for your children, if you're, go down in a plane crash or something, might not be the same person you'd want to put in charge of the finances. Maybe they don't have, they're not good with numbers, they're not good at keeping things organized. Like Judy's very organized, we know. So if somebody's very organized, that's a good person to be an executor or to be a
Right.
trustee,
Right.
to keep things lined up and
Right.
in order for you. And if somebody else is more compassionate, maybe that's the person to raise your children, and not the
Right.
person to put in charge
Right.
of
Right.
finances.
And I think it's important to talk to that person a lot so that they can understand your wishes.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just put it on paper because there's a lot behind, like you were talking about
Yes.
before, there's a lot behind the scenes that something may come up where they need to make a decision, and they have to understand who you are and how you would process that and how you would handle that.
Yes.
Am I correct in my
So
thoughts?
that's
Yes.
something that's come up when we talk to folks about being a guardian in particular, and I've had families say, well, let's choose this person because they would think more along the lines of how we would think in terms
Right.
of raising our children.
Right.
And that might be somebody outside of their family.
Right.
And then they struggle with this conflict of,
That's
shouldn't we really pick somebody who's a blood relative as opposed to, so you have to resolve those conflicts.
But blood relatives are too emotionally attached to the situation.
sometimes it's an issue.
Sometimes it's an issue where they have they have too many emotions, rather than someone who could step back, who's not so engaged or a part of the family, and they could talk to us about that.
Yes, I mean they're going to put their judgment in where it should be. They should be thinking of what your judgment would be. So that sometimes is an issue. But that is one of the reasons why people delay doing a will, right, Jim? How many times have we heard this? That they come to us and say, "Sorry, I haven't finalized this with you guys, but we just can't figure out who we're going to put as a guardian," and they fight over it. I mean, they
got
have
to
to
make
come
a
to
decision.
terms. That is the biggest hindrance for people,
And you can't wait forever to make the decision,
You gotta
because
do it. You guys gotta do
life is going to get in the way. You got to make your decision
as we know.
now.
What if somebody?
So the big hindrance is getting someone to talk about this and work on it to start with.
Yes.
And then, like Lisa said, the next thing is putting it in motion and finalizing it. And like you said, Judy, it's important to just do something, because ultimately they're important decisions, but they're pieces of paper we're creating, right? They're important pieces of paper, but nevertheless, you can always change them.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you, and one of the things that happens is, well, Lisa mentioned alternates before. People don't think about that.
No, I never thought
you
of
have
that.
a spouse, people think, okay, so I'll put my husband in charge of my will and I'll be in charge of his, and vice versa. And they do this on a lot of the different documents. But when it comes to alternates, they say, gee, well, I don't know, should we use your brother, my sister?
But what if they don't have any other family?
Well,
what if their family's too far away, or maybe all deceased?
Sometimes people use friends. In some circumstances, clients ask us to perform that function. It doesn't happen often. It's usually if it's someone that I know, or their accountant, someone that's a close advisor to them. But I tell people, look, give me something, and once I put it in black and white, and we send drafts to people first. We don't do these things on the fly. We do a draft of documents, we send it to people, and then they look at it, and I say, when you get the documents and you see it in black and white, and you sit back with a cup of coffee and say, do I really like the fact that I put my brother in that position? It's not sitting well. Well, then change it. That's why we do a draft.
Right.
And if you decide after it's done, 6 months later, we'll redo it. That's all.
What happens if something happens while you have the draft?
Nothing. It's not executed
yet. Yeah, it falls into the
which is why it's
if
good.
there was no prior will.
It's good not to drag it out too long.
Right.
We send things out to people a couple of weeks after we meet. Within 2 or 3 weeks after that, we hope that they're getting back to us so we
I
can.
hope it's sooner than 2 or 3 weeks.
And then they can always change it later. Like we say, right? There's things that happen in your life, so you need to tune up every so often. So
and how often would you think that somebody should just take a look at their? Because like with me, and I gotta say, you just take that file and you put it in your in that's it.
Right.
How often should we review that? I mean, I know we become aware of things like when you get a divorce and stuff like that.
Yes.
But there's probably intricate stuff on there that you're not thinking all the time.
Right.
So we tell people, every 5 to 7 years, you should take these things out and dust them off and look at them again. When you're looking at your retirement plan or what. Pull these things out, look at them, because there are changes that happen in life. And of course, if there's a birth or a death, a marriage, divorce, then sometimes that triggers people pulling these things out and looking at them. But other times they don't. And sometimes it's as simple as, there's someone that is in your family that now is the black sheep of the family and has, separated themselves.
Right.
And that person is in an important position in your documents.
Right.
Now, maybe you want to think about changing that. So, and to get back to what Judy said, it depends on the circumstance. I mean, there are people that come to us where they need things done sooner than later for, medical reasons, or those are things that can be done sometimes within a day or two. Other times, if it's the typical situation, it takes some time to
maybe
to
after
get things out to
hearing
people.
Everything we've been saying, people will take action sooner.
Sure.
And realize that life can change
in
a moment's notice.
In a split second.
And if you don't have this paperwork, if you don't have it, if you don't have the will and the living will.
It makes things more difficult, and what we tell people is doing these things is a gift to your family. because you're relieving them of stress by
Decisions and
helping
stress.
to plan things out, or at least creating a framework for what you'd
Yes.
like to happen
For sure.
if something sudden
And
occurred.
nowadays with Google Drive, things are so simple to store because you can upload them to the Google Drive, give them to your family, and they could have access to it right there, right then and there. I mean, that just came to me, and that's something
Except
that I
if
need
you
to
change
do.
something.
Well, yeah,
And
but
then-
you could change the
you
file.
change something that they're involved in.
But I think that in that Google Drive it should be an outline of who is the person in contact of each, like the attorney and the
Right. Yes.
so that they can go to, and yes, they have the file, but then they reach out to the attorney to ask them, is this the original, or is this
Right.
the updated
Right.
file, or
The other thing-
Sometimes they want us to keep the originals with us. They'll, we ask them, would you like us to, maintain your
One
records?
thing
and keep
that
them?
I feel is very important is that everybody should have the list of their doctors,
Yeah.
their address and phone numbers, their attorneys, every vital piece of information that can help someone else, their husband, their wife, their family, in an emergency.
right.
Who are the doctors? What if
Sure.
you get rushed to the hospital? Who are your doctors?
Well, that's why.
Do you have a copy of all your medical,
Right.
your MRIs, your CAT scans, whatever it is? Do you have a file that person can go to, pick it up,
Your
take it to the
medications.
hospital?
Yeah.
Your
Right.
medications.
Oh, your medications.
The allergies, things like
Yes.
this.
Yeah.
One of the
Vital,
things
vital
One
information.
of the things that we suggest to people when we have them sign healthcare proxies is we create an extra copy, and I give them an envelope with it, and I ask them to take the envelope and write the name on there of the doctor that they see most often.
Right.
And they
That's
say,
good.
why am I doing this? And then I explain afterwards this extra copy, and it's up to them, it's their option.
They can give it
My
to the
suggestion
doctor.
is give it to your doctor to put in your chart, because
Right.
if you're in the hospital and you say, well, I have a healthcare proxy, well, do you have it with you? No, I didn't carry it in my
That's a
back
good- that's a
pocket
good- that's a
in the
good
ambulance.
suggestion.
And
But you
also
can
maybe to
contact
the
my-
local hospitals.
Right, you can contact my doctor's office as part of my chart, and it can be emailed or faxed over. My office keeps a copy. Lisa and I frequently, I don't want to say frequently, but it's more often than not. I would say half a dozen times a year we'll get a call. The mom or dad went in the hospital on Friday night. Now it's Sunday, and we told them there's a healthcare proxy, but we can't find it, and we can't get back
Yes.
to the house. So we take it and we scan it or email it over to the hospital for people.
There's one other thing that is very important. You should have the name of your attorney in your wallet at all times. You should have it in a folder on your desk. You should have it in several places.
Yeah.
So that if anything happens
We
to
agree.
you, they go through the wallet. Aha, that's the attorney.
But also the Google Drive is a good source because you can access it anytime.
Sure.
Right.
Anytime. It's up there in the clouds, and it's, I'm learning more about Google Drive where I'm working. They do keep things in Google Drive, which is just the best thing in the
I
world.
don't do anything with Google
No, I'm
Drive.
just saying. No, but
I'm just hearing about it right now. I mean, whatever's on the computer is on the computer.
right. But Google Drive is you just say Andrew goes. You're in the hospital, and Andrew has to get your files. He could just go to his Google Drive on his phone.
He
can get
knows
it.
exactly where everything is.
I'm just saying.
And I
And for
don't
the
tr-
younger people, it really is.
I don't
a
like
good
it
way
being
to
on
go.
the computer. I don't like it being.
Yeah, I
don't.
know.
I have my personal
Yes.
fears of having that kind of information on a computer.
I'm sure. Because we only have about 10 minutes left, I guess. I don't know. But I do have a question for you, a few questions. What if people can't afford to go to an attorney? What do they do? Because, we're blessed, on the East Coast to have financial, but, you think about those people in the West,
Right.
in the inner, in the farmlands and stuff. And, or we even have people that are
Sure.
don't have the means to do it, and they want to do
Sure.
it, but they don't have. But is there a place that they could go to accomplish that?
Yeah, they like we have our parish outreach program.
I was going to say that
Yeah,
they've
get
reached out
referrals.
to us and asked us to, help people from time to time that
Absolutely.
truly can't afford anything. They really
So
have
we do
next
it.
to nothing.
Yeah.
So we've helped people like that. But
Pro bono projects, right? And the bar
yeah, the bar
associations.
associations, pro bono
They all have
projects.
pro bono projects.
The law schools have clinics where people can, contact the clinic. Like, for instance, there's like Toro Law School has a mental health clinic to assist people with getting guardianship for their family because they can't afford to
and there are
pay
sliding
the
scale
legal fees.
agencies that do the sliding scales as well.
Right.
That's the Suffolk Law Services.
Sure.
There are services out there that that will assist in all areas. So.
That's so important because
Yes,
we just think about us who we work and work and work, but there are people who maybe there's a family that he was working or she got laid off, and I've been there and I know, like when I went through my divorce, and I remember going, I say this all the time, going through my coat pocket looking for pennies, and because you got tired of asking your family for help. And it gets embarrassing, all the time. So, so those people do have a source for that. So if you could, maybe send us the information so that we could just have it on file or post it, and we'll attach your name to it if they have any questions that they could reach out to you and ask. But thank you so much for coming today. We're not done with you, but on that topic, it really is important to to provide that information. And what we love about this source that Jim provides for us is that it's all over the internet. We've been getting, we're almost at that 10,000 mark, Jim.
Right.
We're almost at that 10,000. We're almost at that 10,000.
We have a show that's very close to 10,000.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great.
But that's the only source. It does go through Facebook and goes through YouTube and what else, Jim? Periscope and I haven't heard from Cablevision. I have to follow up with them.
And I keep reposting all of the shows.
Yeah, because they're important sources. People need different things at different times, so.
Okay.
No.
Well, the one that's close to 10,000 views is the one that is
that's important.
So important.
Knowledge is power, it's called.
Knowledge is power. The most powerful presentation of what everybody should know about stroke.
I'm going to watch it.
Yes, it really is important. So while we're on the subject, Lisa, you had shared with us that your mom suffered a stroke, which just floors me because, we say that, you didn't even come here for that.
No, and I'm, don't have a lot of, I didn't at that point in my life have a lot of knowledge about, signs of stroke and all. And I happened to go that morning. I wasn't going to go to the hospital. But I said, something told me to go. So I went and I'm sitting there and she's like sleeping, and then she started talking and she wasn't speaking right. So at first I thought she was just waking up, but as she was waking up, I could see that she kind of was a little slanted and her speech was, and that's when I knew.
Yeah.
So I'm so thankful I was there. And I got the nurse and I said, something's going on. And the nurse had come in and I said, something's not right. But, they were thinking that, like me, she was just sleepy. But luckily, we got it in time, got to her doctor, a neurologist came right away, and they gave her the medication. And rushed her to another part of the hospital. And within 2 hours, I had my whole family. I called everyone came.
A complete turnaround, like you
complete
couldn't believe
turnaround.
it.
Like I had everyone come up because they swarmed to her. Rose, can you move your arm? Can you do this? Can you do that? And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, not knowing this is it. Like I'm thinking this is it.
Right.
So, because just the attention that she got, they really did.
Well, they had to do the MRI, MRA, CAT scans.
They didn't do any of that.
They didn't?
They gave her all the things that you were talking about earlier.
The clot buster?
Can you move your arms?
Oh,
can you do this?
Yeah.
But then they gave her the medication, and I don't think she had. I didn't see it anyway.
The problem is they have to know if it's a bleed. If it's a bleed, they cannot give you the
So they
clot.
must have done that in the
Yeah,
interim
they-
when I was really, upset. So,
Yeah.
But I called my whole
Sure
family. I'm
they
like,
did.
come to the hospital. I don't know what's happening. And everybody came. My
Well,
kids, him, everybody.
So we had a client recently was supposed to have a meeting with them, and the father of one of the clients ended up in the hospital because he was having headaches and visual problems and things like this, and they thought he was having a stroke, and it turned out to be a head bleed.
Wow.
That he had for a while.
Hemorrhagic stroke.
So he had a huge blood clot in his head.
That's what happened
that
with
was
my dad.
causing,
And he had this terrible headache for weeks. He didn't tell me. Told the whole neighborhood. He
I
didn't
didn't
tell
tell
me.
you.
Yeah.
But that's why we say it's so important for families to be the advocates. because, you know, they're doing the work in hospitals, you know, and they don't know specifically the...
They also don't know your family member.
Yeah.
You know
Yes.
shades of differences,
Yeah.
you know, in someone
Definitely.
from one moment
Yeah.
to another.
Definitely.
Yeah.
The staff doesn't know that. They're,
Yeah.
like you
Right.
said, they're busy.
Right,
They
always
do
have someone there
lots
as
of
an
things.
advocate.
Yes,
Very important.
important, so important. I mean, when my dad was in the hospital, we were there 24/7. Then we had somebody stay there at night. Now, once again, we had the financial. My father had the financial backing to be able to do that.
Right.
You know, but you know, we want to provide resources for people, you know, for them to be able to do that, because it's important stuff, you know. And just, I mean, maybe family, friends, maybe you could build a circle around you to have people just visit and hang out and stuff.
I had to hire somebody for the beginning hours, like 9 to 3 or something like that. I spent 6 hours a day.
Yes.
I had to change jobs and everything, and I spent 6 hours every day for 3 years and 3 months
Yeah.
Wow.
with my
Wow.
dad.
Dedication, right?
Yes.
Dedication. So, Jim, could you put my friend Bruce's photo up? Bruce is, like I said, I also sing, and I've been singing at a location for many, many years. And every time I go there, this gentleman Bruce wants me to do a photo with him, and he always sends me messages that he's praying for us, and he sends
He's
me.
on my Facebook page.
Yeah, he sends me like a little gift card for the foundation with prayers in it,
that's
and he always gives me
beautiful.
cards. So
Yes.
So last week when I asked who, you know, want to hear your Thanksgiving what you're thankful for, and he said to be a part of your foundation, because we made him an honor. So, you know, like, he's just a gift, you know.
We love you, Bruce.
You love you, Bruce.
We
We
do.
love you. But I wanted to ask you both, what are you thankful for during the Thanksgiving holiday?
So, you know, of course, I'm thankful for my wife, Lisa, and my children, my mother, and our extended family. But we have many, many friends in the community through things we've gotten involved in, through the school system, through Rotary, through Scouts, through town government, through the Knights of Columbus, many, many different organizations. But the one thing that ties all these things together is this extended group of people that we have who are friends and supporters of ours. And you know, there are times in your life, whether they're good times or scary times, that it's important to have this network of people. So that's what I'm thankful for, is all of these people that we know that have our back if we ever need them.
That's incredible.
Very true.
But your goodness brings that in, because goodness, what you give out in the world, comes back to you.
We feel that way,
Yes.
I believe
absolutely.
that.
Yes.
I believe that.
And then that's exactly what I was going to say, was that you know, we harness that goodness. It's I think it's natural for the two of us, but we surround ourselves with people that are, you know, in that same vein, and it's a wonderful symbiotic relationship that we have with our friends, our family, and our community. Is that goodness, and I'm so thankful for that. But I'm also going on the vein of what happened with my mom. I'm thankful because I have wonderful family and all. Since I lost my mom last year, I have no parents, so she was the last of them to go. So we just went out with my brothers. So when you don't have your parents, you kind of hold on to your siblings.
Yes.
So I have a special, you know, feeling this Thanksgiving with my brothers, because we've kept our family unity together. We make an effort every 2 weeks to go to a siblings dinner,
that's
and
beautiful.
we have to, you know, keep in touch with each other. And if I don't hear from them, I will call them or text them and say, "Don't forget me." So I'm very, very grateful that we have our bond, because you don't have your parents. It's tough.
Well, it's almost like we become the foundation. You know, we always had our parents there to bounce things off of, but now it's our job
Yes.
to
Now
be
it's
the
us.
leaders of these
Isn't that
foundations.
such a transition?
Oh, yeah. My grandson. So, yes. So thank you so much, both of you.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Jim, do you want to say anything that you're thankful for? I know you said it last week.
Oh yeah, I'll change it up a little bit. I give thanks to my family and my wife, and I want to give thanks to my children, because they actually are the ones responsible for me getting up each day and wanting to do better, because I want to have them see, what it's like to, work for something.
Yeah, good. Thank you, Jen. Judy?
I'm very thankful for my husband, my loving husband, my life partner, and for all my friends in the wide community, and being able to give back to the associations, to your association, and to others where I can be helpful and do something good for others.
That's good. Thank you, Judy. You're a gift to us. And so are both of you. You're part of our family now. We always draw people in the way you guys have felt. You're part of our family, and we're thankful to Jim for giving us this source. And, it's really every day you should be thankful. Every day. But this is really a time of year where people reflect on being thankful and what you're thankful for, and whatever faith you are through the holiday seasons, do something kind for everybody every day. It really will make a difference in your life, So Jim, are we all on the screen, because we're going to blow our kisses? Because we always blow kisses. Are we on? Okay.
Do you want Jim and Lisa to come?
They could. They're on.
Okay.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure they were on, so we weren't blowing kisses without everybody seeing them. So we'll thank you so much. Just a few pieces of information. We have a show for the next 2 weeks. Our last show, we don't have one on Thanksgiving weekend, which is December 1st. Then we have one on December 8th and December 15th. Then we're going to take a little well-needed break between the holidays. And we'll be back on January 5th, I think it is. The first weekend in January.
The one paper, I don't.
Yes, no, it's actually the first. It's actually
January 5th.
Yeah, it's the first weekend of January, and we'll be doing 2 separate shows on that day, because, like I said, Jim has been a gift to us in allowing us to do 2 shows, so that I don't have to travel in, and I could really focus my energies every other week on the show, and then focus my energy on building our network and going one-on-one out in the universe with our foundation. So anyway, so thank you so much for everybody for joining us today. We're so blessed, and let's blow our kisses. 1, 2, 3. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
God bless.
God bless you all.
See you next week.
conversation, they're all dead. The lines cut off inside my head. I left here like a broken man with no idea of where I stand. Oh, my mind clear. Oh, I shed all of my tears. Oh, now baby, I was just waiting here while you moved on. Security, this newfound freedom you kept from me. The sound of all your loaded guns. This outbreak war has just begun. The sound of all your loaded guns. This broken man has already won. Oh, my mind clear. Oh, I shed all of my tears.